Excelsior, fellow Marvelers! We are back with part 3 of Loki, episode 4. Just to catch you up, Loki and Sylvie were rescued from Lamentis, where they had ended up at the end of last episode, while the moon was crashing into another planet and about to get annihilated. And the TVA has put them under some sort of a punishment cycle in which Loki is getting beaten up by Lady Sif. Yes, that Lady Sif from Asgard, who had also made a cameo in Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So, all right, we are already seeing some nice build up to what is going to be the halfway point in this series. And Mobius, our favorite Owen Wilson, after Tom Hiddleston, of course, has um, tried to get in to see the Loki variant. Let's see if he manages to figure out why, despite the TVA having captured Kree and vampires and other creatures from various points in the sacred timeline, why two demigods are causing so much mischief and causing them so much uh, complication. All right. So, as we had seen before, Loki is getting beaten up again and again by Lady Sif, and he is getting tired of it because Lady Sif is certainly not getting tired of beating him up for having cut off her ponytail sometime in the past. So now he's taking a different approach. He is apologizing to her. So let's see if he manages to convince her or to convince the timekeepers who have put him in this punishment time vortex or time spiral that he deserves to be let off, or he deserves to be given another chance to redeem himself, and whether he's doing some soul searching, saying that he's scared to be alone. Obviously, he is not having much of an effect on the timekeepers, but it seems that Lady Sif in this episode is offering him a helping hand. Let's see if this is also another ruse to hit him really hard once again, like she had done earlier. And she delivers the line that she always delivers at the end of every time spiral, which is, "You are alone and you always will be." So let's see how long this punishment is going to keep occurring. Okay, and Mobius has come into the time spiral and he's saying that is he ready to talk. So they are back through the red portal through which Loki had been shoved to begin his punishment, and they are back in the holo projector room where Loki had been showed a clip show of his life, so to speak, and he was trying to figure out whether it was all his fault or whether he was serving some glorious purpose, which was the title of the first episode that I'm sure Loki fans everywhere will remember. All right, so they are figuring it out amongst themselves, Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston, in the holoprojector room. Once again, this is obviously one of those sets which has been put to extensive use, all right, just to get the story moving, just to get the plot points resolved, and to set up the rest of the action scenes and the rest of the cutaways, as we might call them, when they jump from this sacred timeline set up by the timekeepers to other places in space and time. All right. So he's trying to figure out why the Nexus event on Lamentis, which was those two variants of Loki getting saved from that certain annihilation event, how did that happen is what Mobius is trying to figure out. Okay, so he's ready to send him back into the punishment time spiral with Lady Sif beating him up again and again for cutting off her ponytail. And let's see if Loki offers something which Mobius agrees to. And I think Loki is making up some sort of a desperate last minute attempt to convince them that him and Sylvie were working together. And Loki is trying to make it seem like she is the one who was working for him, and they had made a plan in which he is going to get something like control of the TVA. So Mobius is playing a reverse game, and he is telling her that the Lady Loki variant known as Sylvie is gone. She has been killed by the TVA, but that is Mobius making Loki think that he is all alone once again, like Lady Sif was doing to him in that prisoner uh, time loop in which he was being punished for his past misdeeds. So Mobius has obviously broken his variant interrogation down, and he has started to needle Loki about liking Sylvie. So that is why Loki is trying to defend her. Two variants of the same being are the Loki we know through the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the Lady Loki character who has been introduced in this next series of the Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In case you're just joining us, we are almost halfway through the fourth episode of Loki. 26 minutes of runtime remain, and it's apparent that Loki cares a lot about Sylvie, and Mobius's plan has worked. He has actually managed to break down Loki's defenses, and now they are discussing the overthrow of the timekeepers, who are the ones who set up this sacred timeline and who organize or manage the TVA or direct the TVA in this universe. All right. So it's the usual, she's not my girlfriend, and call her what you want to call her, repartee between Owen Wilson's Mobius and Tom Hiddleston's Loki. Okay. So now he's telling Mobius what Sylvie told him, that all the TVA employees are variants who have been picked up from their timelines and who have been erased from the timeline that they were in and given a mind wipe and brainwashed into working for the TVA to catch other variants. So this is kind of like a prison, or you might say a kind of like a labor camp for variants run by the timekeepers. But Mobius is not convinced yet, and he's blaming Loki for causing all sorts of mayhem like death and destruction and literal ends of worlds. Uh, Mobius is now ready to move on. He says that Loki is of no use to him anymore, and so he might as well just put him in prison and be done with it. Okay. So Loki is trying to convince Mobius that what he was saying was right, and the way that Mobius glances, it's apparent that he's going to start thinking about it. He was already thinking about it, and this is another corridor meeting. It's not really a meeting. In fact, it is Hunter B15, I think, who is having some sort of an anxiety attack. But she is looking at one of the posters, the propaganda posters in the TVA, which makes it sound like a totalitarian organization. So Sylvie is being taken somewhere by B15 through a portal. So let's see what's going to happen, because the poster which she was looking at said, "Did you get them all?" referring to the variants, and verify through deletion, which means that you should kill all variants so that everything is clear in the sacred timeline. So Mobius is back with Ravonna and they're taking care of some paperwork, closing the case, so to speak, and some celebratory cheers to celebrate their closing of the case. All right. The question which many of us ask ourselves, if you could go anywhere, anytime, where would you go? So, which would be your favorite memory or your favorite place or a combination of both to go to? Okay. So, because Ravonna had let her escape when she was a kid, she is kind of terrified that Sylvie would escape once again from the clutches of the TVA and cause mayhem and mischief in the sacred timeline. All right, let's catch up in part 4 of episode 4 of Loki. Okay, that didn't end, but now it's ending.